So my name is Andrea De Leon, and I am a program clinician at Community Youth Center of San Francisco, otherwise known as CYC. And I've actually been with CYC since my very first year of being a trainee. I've been there since grad school, and I haven't left since just because I love it so much. And so, yeah, that would have been five years ago now. So yeah, I did all my hours there. I'm almost licensed. So yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, a fun fact about CYC is that when we were first established back in the 1970s, our primary goal was to address the gang violence that was happening in Chinatown during that time. And the agency played a huge pivotal role in the mediation and providing these individuals with different alternative means. And historically, we also primarily focused on the needs of Chinese immigrants. But since then, we've expanded our services and support network to the greater community as a whole here in San Francisco. And now we provide a variety of different services to youth and their families, uh, primarily with more, low income, high need, at risk youth of API, Latinx, and African American communities. And we provide resources such as academic services, college preparation, job readiness and training, substance use and violence prevention and crisis intervention, leadership development and behavioral health services, and even technology and computer training. And yeah, our mission is really to provide a safe haven and support for those who need it most by helping them explore their needs and their strengths and integrating everything their academic, career, family, and community lives. So yeah, given all those different resources that CYC provides, we are in the behavioral health department, and so we'll primarily be giving therapeutic services as well as case management services. But really, it's up to each individual trainee as far as what kind of involvement you want to do outside of the client work. There's some interns that provide groups to the schools that they're at, and some trainees are really involved in the community life at their different school sites, working with teachers and even helping with clubs and that sort of thing. But really the typical duties is going to the schools. It's called the Wellness Center. Each school and SFUST, that mostly the high schools and middle schools, but some elementary schools all have wellness centers, and that's where the school nurses, other MFTs or MSWs, and that's where we provide our services. And there they will typically go to the schools around 2 days a week is kind of the average. And they will pull students out of class. And, we get our referrals from teachers, from academic counselors, from the dean, self-referrals from the students. And there they will meet and have their sessions in their offices there at the center. And then from there, they will also, be able to do meetings with counselors. They can even do classroom observations, and they can work directly with, all the school staff there, which is great. But yeah, again, we give a lot of our interns a lot of flexibility and independence to see, how much they want to get involved and how much they want to, gather as much assessment information for their clients, as well as, advocating for the needs of their clients. And so, yeah, again, it's really just up to the trainee to see how much, how much they want to be embedded into the whole family system as a whole. we get all the referrals from teachers and academic counselors, the dean, a lot of self-referrals and even referrals from other students. But from there, we we're contracted with SFUST and SFTPH. And so most of our clientele are Medi-Cal families. And because of Medi-Cal, we have to complete what's called a CANS. And we, through that, have to diagnose and make a treatment plan for all of our clients in order to bill Medi-Cal. And the purpose of this, again, is to provide services to low-income families. But yeah, through that assessment process, we have 60 days to assess the client and formulate a diagnosis and the treatment plan. And then from there, that's why it's great that we're able to, work from that systems perspective and, work directly with the teachers and, the school counselors and the parents. It's important to us that the family's always involved. We have minor consent cases, but typically we always advocate to involve parents. And so, yeah, through that 60-day process, we will gather as much information as possible about, again, their needs and their strengths, but ultimately a clinical diagnosis. And from there, and I know we'll talk about this in the next questions, we provide all the training for that. I know the trainees will get this at school, but we provide not just training on how to diagnose and do this CANS assessment and all the progress notes and everything, but specifically how we do the whole process of doing that in the 60 days and doing the whole. We have what's called Avatar, which is the program that we do this assessment on, and yeah, we provide all of that. And so yeah, overall, it's a 2-month process to do the assessment. And then from there, that's when we can start individual therapy based on the treatment plan and the prognosis. Number wise, we expect our trainees to have 6 to 8 clients, or I think some interns, again, depending on where they're at in their hours and if they have, outside jobs and how much they want to take on. Other interns will also have 8 to 10. But, typically we, want to ensure that our interns and trainees have, a balanced schedule and are able to, only take what they can as far as everything else they're juggling, but also specifically to be able to focus on each individual client, because like I mentioned, it's not just the individual therapy. A lot of it is case management as well, and as well as, doing all the paperwork. And so, yeah, typically I would say 6 to 8 on the lower end, but also 8 to 10, again, depending on the trainee. So we have a 2-hour group supervision meeting on Wednesdays. And that's where trainees will not only just meet with the clinical supervisors, and we have 3 of them at CYC, but that's also when they're able to meet with the whole staff of clinicians, including myself. And this is a great opportunity to learn from one another and share experiences with fellow interns and trainees. And it's great because they come from, a diverse range of MFTs, MSWs, and PsyD interns. And so it's great because, again, you're able to work and collaborate and learn from people of different backgrounds and different perspectives. And I would say, I think this year we have 12 interns total. So it's a big group. And yeah, because of that, we all work together as a team, and it's really helpful to not just have your individual supervisors, but also there's, I think, 5 of us staff clinicians that have also been there for a long time, and we double also as mentors, not formally supervisors, but we also work directly with the interns to provide them with any support that they need. So also on Wednesdays is the training. It's attached to that supervision meeting. And we start off the meetings with a specific training every week. And this will be provided not just by the clinical supervisors, but all of us staff also provide trainings too. And we provide trainings on literally everything. In fact, before the trainees even start at the schools, we provide about 40 to maybe even 60 hours of training, really just to, get them familiar with not just how CYC works. We train them on Avatar, which again is how we do the cans and all the diagnosis and assessment and everything. We're also, training them on how to, work specifically with youth and providing them with techniques on how to build rapport with youth and how to talk about confidentiality and all the different exceptions and literally the A to Z of how to work with youth and working specifically with parents as well, working with the family systems as a whole. And we train our interns on everything, not just CBT, but also narrative, Gestalt, drama, therapy, really everything, which is something that I really appreciated as an intern, because when I went to in my program, we'd only learned CBT, which was very frustrating for me at the time. And although I do use CBT a lot, I also use narrative and Gestalt and psychodynamic approaches every day in my work too. And so because of that, I love that the interns have exposure to all of this and, they're learning like very specific interventions and techniques too. And so again, there's a lot of flexibility and independence for each intern to really use what works for them and what they like the most. And most importantly, what really works for each individual client. I would say, when I came up with this at the top of my head, there's a little alliteration to this, but it's true. I would say curiosity, courage, and compassion. In that, of course, in our work, of course, empathy and compassion, are always most important as far as, working with our clients and especially the population that we do, always coming from a place of warmth and understanding and patience. It's definitely important, especially working with youth. But also I would add curiosity is really important too, coming from a place of, really trying to understand and even come from a place of wonderment when we interact with our clients, because, you know, um, especially because each of our youth, they have their own individual and unique experiences, especially when they come from backgrounds of trauma. A lot of parents who've been incarcerated, a lot of kids who are immigrants, always coming from a place of curiosity and not projecting, our own experiences or biases or just our own assumptions of what our clients' experiences are like based on, our own past or based on what we've learned from school. Each of our youth have their own stories to tell. And so I think it's important to really just show up from a place of curiosity. And I would say courage as well, just because, there's even now for me, I've worked in this community for again the past 5 years, and I love it so much, and I love all of my clients that I've worked with. But of course, some days it's hard and it's really tough, and it can be, like very intimidating and scary to work, with certain clients and their families. But really it's just about having the courage to again, show up to that room and be there for your clients, but also, advocating for our clients, especially working in, the public school system and working with really just the systemic factors that always come into play. Really, really just advocating for our clients is something that is definitely most important in this work, and that takes a lot of courage. And so, yeah, ultimately, I think those three, courage, compassion, and curiosity. And ultimately, too, I don't know if this is a personal thing, but I would say also just a sense of humor and authenticity, I think is really most important too. At least, in our team, that's something that we want to instill in our interns, is also just remembering that you're working with youth, and that's important to show up as yourself, and showing up with a sense of being real, because our youth will they'll be able to tell if you are uncomfortable, or if you're not, being honest and being transparent, but most importantly, just yourself around them. And so I think that's something that I really like to share with my interns. It's just relaxing and being comfortable with who you truly are, and not constantly worrying about what your clients or their parents or their teachers want you to be. And so, yeah. Actually, I would say the most challenging part of my job slash the intern's job is the paperwork. Just, the CANS assessments, the treatment plans, the progress notes. It's a lot. And, even just accessing Avatar is really the hardest part of my job, just because of this whole technological piece behind that. But there's been some changes this year, so it's easier. But um, yeah, just so like meeting the deadlines, of course, is always important. But I think especially now we're training our interns on how to complete their first assessment, and it can be really overwhelming. Um, but with that said, I would say it's also one of the greatest aspects of this job, because you're really learning how to properly assess and how to properly diagnose. And we give such good templates and such good training on how to write these, and to how to formulate them. And so, in fact, all of our interns that have moved on and left for other jobs, they reach out to us all the time, because we still have really good relationships with everybody that leaves. They always tell us, that's one of the things they're most thankful for, is they still use those templates actually at their other jobs that still require progress notes and everything. And so, yeah, just learning how to do all of the diagnosis and assessing and everything. It can be really daunting and difficult at first, but after you do your first one or two, your first few of them, it becomes really easy, especially because there's so much support on how to do it. But overall, I would say that's the hardest part of the job. Ultimately, I would say CYC is one of the best placements, just because, and obviously I'm biased, but there's been a reason I've stayed for as long as I have, because ultimately, when you join CYC, you're joining a family. And I mean that in every way, because our supervisors are all incredible. That's not always easy to find. And again, like all of the staff, we are always available to our interns. We're always happy to help with not even just clinical stuff, but also personal stuff, in the sense that we are always understanding and respectful of in terms of where they're at, making sure that again they're balancing everything, and we always want to teach self-care and making sure that they're advocating for themselves first, before doing all the paperwork and doing all the stuff that I had mentioned that is part of the duties of an intern. And yeah, even the agency as a whole, outside of the behavioral health team, there's so many other teams and departments where we all work together and collaborate. We also get referrals from the other programs that are working with Dragon Boat and working with after school activities and different events around San Francisco that we do. And so that's really just part of joining the CYC team, is you're really embedded in the whole community of it. And so I would say that's kind of rare to find, just really anywhere really, is not just enjoying the experience as a whole. Again, I love all of my clients, and the school sites that I've always worked at have always been really supportive too. You also have your support at each wellness center. There's a wellness coordinator at each, and they're typically social workers. So everywhere you go, you'll always have somebody to answer your questions and to consult cases with. And so really it's both just a fun, playful, nurturing environment, and just so much opportunity to learn and to grow as an intern. And so I couldn't recommend it enough.